Let me know if some of these resonate with you. I can't do what I want to do until this place is clean, and it just won't stay clean. My house is messy, but I don't know how to make it better. Or I don't invite people over right now because the house really isn't good enough to host. Today, I'm inviting interior designer and life coach Karla Dickey, as well as Amy Cummings, who's a leadership coach for nonprofit executives, to help us break down the mental blocks around creating a peaceful home environment. I'm also going to ask them to give us some specific skills we may need to create a home that brings us peace. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Weekly Fellowship, the space that brings faith-filled women together to inspire and empower each other. I'm your host, Reagan Clement. I'm a life coach and the proud founder of the Rising Tide Fellowship. We're more than just a community. We're a gathering of growth-minded women of faith engaging in group discussions, Bible studies, book clubs, and online courses. Our coaching collective, comprised of specialists catering to women in different seasons of life, supports and uplifts each member, guiding them toward peace, virtue, and fulfillment. Weekly Fellowship is not just a podcast or a YouTube video, it's a space where we come together every Thursday at 12 p.m. Central for a live, interactive, podcast-style conversation. This is where we share insights for your life in an engaging format, and here's the best part. At the 30-minute mark, we invite you to bring your ideas, perspectives, and questions to the conversation. Your voice matters, and we truly value the connection that we are building here. Our first season, How We Became Disciplined Women, is a journey into transformation. In 10 episodes, we'll share the details of what finally transformed us from stressed out list makers into the peaceful women who can actually, finally follow through. So whether you're joining us during your commute, your workout, or a quiet moment of reflection, thank you for being here. Subscribe now to Weekly Fellowship and become part of this incredible community. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So welcome to a rising tide of incredible women. Right. So let me start by just introducing to you our guest speakers, our beautiful coaches here. Karla, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. Yes. My name is Karla Dickey. I am a wife and a mom of 7. We just had our last little one in November. Our oldest is 11 and our youngest is about 3 months. People always like to know the spread. It is tight and it is fun. I went to school for interior design and I am a, a wholeness coach, and I just really love serving women and growing alongside them. And uh, so I will pass it back to you, Reagan.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. It's fun to hear your story with the interior designing background, especially when we're talking about home environment, so it's going to be fun. Amy, will you share a little bit about who you are?
Absolutely. Thank you, Reagan, for inviting me to be part of the program today. Amy Cummings, and I am also a coach, a leadership and wholeness coach. And I serve women who are, yes, in the nonprofit field, but also just women who are leaders in general, helping them to overcome overwhelm and so that they can maximize their God-given gifts and bring them to the world. I'm married, have one little boy who is 7, amazing little guy. And I am also an executive director of a nonprofit myself, and have been doing that for a number of years. And so have a very full life, but have been able to manage it well with the new tools that I have learned through primarily through the work with the Women's School. So excited to be here too to share what I have learned to manage my life and through discipline and through my environment.
Well, it was a joy to get to see you. It's already been a year last year in Atlanta. To get to actually put my arms around this woman and hug her. And I just want to say she's as warm in real life, maybe even warmer in real life. But you're a joy to behold in person and here. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I can't believe it has been a year already. Gosh, that just went so fast. So much has
I
happened in a
know.
whole year.
I know. So if
Oh,
you guys were here last week, so some of you weren't, so I kind of want to give some backstory here. Last week, the guest speakers coached me because I was really struggling with this season. with working out. I just kind of lost my footing, and a lot of things changed. My kids went from homeschooling to schooling. We had some health issues in January. And with all of the seasonal changes that happened, I was really struggling to work out. And so we all have that thing that we're working on right now and we're struggling with. And so the guest speakers coached me and my mindset around what was really blocking me from working out. And then what's cool is that in the second half of the show, the private part, the community members who were here, some of them gave me advice and suggestions and some strategies that I could use and to help me. So first, I had to believe that I could work out again consistently and that I wanted to, right? Because I knew I could, but there was some resistance there. And then I needed some specific skills and strategies to use to get it done. And I'll have you know, guys, this week has been really beautiful. If you follow me on social media, you know I've been exercising every day and working out, but not in that like, oh, I'm back on it all full speed, but just like in a very relaxing way that aligns with who I am. And it's been really peaceful. It's even been the key to giving me that regulated feeling that I'm usually seeking in the morning. So after prayer, it's been really beautiful to get the kids to school and then come back and exercise and the peace in my mind, but also the peace in my body. So we worked through mindset, skills, and strategy to help me with exercise. And today we're going to do the same thing for you guys, but with your home environment, because this is a pretty important piece of being a woman of discipline. Our discipline, our peace, our fruitfulness is affecting our home and work environments. And our home and work environments are affecting our discipline, our interior life, our mental health. So for those of you who struggle to keep the house organized and peaceful, I bet you're feeling it on the inside too. I know I do. And this is affecting how we show up in other areas of life. How I respond to my husband, how I respond to clients, how I show up with you guys here. How my house feels affects me here and in other ways. So let's get started with a common struggle. Too much to do around here and not enough me. So a common thing I hear is, I can't do what I want to do, what I'm passionate about, what God's calling me to do until everything gets clean, and I can't get it clean. So I want to just let these beautiful coaches kind of take over. Karla, do you want to start? How would you serve a woman who's struggling in this way?
Yes, absolutely. I think one thing that's really important to recognize is just what specifically is the problem. Is it a certain room? Is it a certain area in your home? Identifying what you want better is kind of the first step. Do you need more help with a certain space? Do you need to have your children's help in tackling your home? What is your standard? What are you actually seeking? Because sometimes we can get wrapped up in my whole home. Like I am very overwhelmed by my whole home, but you might need to just scale back and figure out, what is my standard? What do I really need to focus on to get to a better place?
Amy, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think I would say that that's a really great place to start. And I know that it's a it's about knowing what you want and don't want. I think that's where I would start with my clients is, what do you want in this space? Right. So if it's the master bedroom, right, that you're trying to get organized, and that's the place that you want to be peaceful, like what do you want that place to be? So imagining it, right? Describing it. What is it? What's the feel you want for that space when you walk into it? So we can't, I think, start to even organize it until we really know what we even want for the space. What's the purpose of the space, right? So what is that corner going to be used for, right? The corner that collects everything, right? Everybody has it. And so until we can say, I want that space to be X, Y, and Z, right? I want it to smell a certain way, I want it to look a certain way, and then we can start to design it. But we have to, I ask my clients first, what is it that you want that space to look like? And if it's your whole house, I think we kind of start first. Well, how do you want your home to feel? Welcoming, warm, woodsy. Everyone has a way that they want their home to feel and look, right? And then we break it down into smaller buckets, right? Whether it's the bathroom, the bedroom, um, and it does, I think, really boil down to standards too. Each one of us are going to have a different level of standard. Um, and and we talked yesterday, I was sharing the story of when my husband and I got married. If there was a clean countertop anywhere in the house, my husband it just screamed out to him, put something on it. It just drove me crazy. And we were getting little counseling in the beginning of our marriage, and I was taking this to the counselor. I'm like, listen, I can't keep like cleaning spaces, and he puts everything, whether it's his watch or his wallet or his sunglasses, like it was just. And so the counselor's like, Amy, choose like the dining room table or the kitchen counter, and then your husband is going to commit to like he's not going to put anything on that space, like so like it's like you can have peace, like so everyone can have peace in the home, like nothing's going to go. So I chose the dining room table. That was like it has to just stay clean, like nothing goes on there. And that to me is just it's orderly, it's clean when I clean it off. And so it's again, it's that choosing that standard and then communicating that right to the rest of the family. Like this space, we clean it off, toys don't go there, books don't go there. And I think that's how we come up with that standard, right? And we communicate that and what we want and don't want. And I think that's kind of the struggle that most clients start with. And I've had that too. Like, I don't know what I want with this space. And I have to first know what I want that space to be before I can even unpack or to clean it, to organize it, to declutter it, whatever it is. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, what if my standard is I want it to be perfect?
Well, we don't allow perfectionism. That's a whole nother issue. Right, Carla?
Yes, that is so relatable, Reagan, because that's something I've really struggled with just overall, but especially when it comes to interior design, because I know what I love. Like my Instagram is full of the rooms that I desire and the beautiful spaces that I love, and just recognizing the wants and don't wants, like Amy mentioned, and really finding what is my standard will help us to guard against thinking everything needs to be perfect, and also just really embracing our own self-image as a beautiful, loved daughter of God. He will help me in this pursuit of beauty in my home because he is a God of truth, beauty, and goodness. And so recognizing he wants me to live in order, and that includes my home. It includes my table that my husband is tempted to put things on, and I'm tempted to clutter up too. And so really looking at our self-image and knowing, first, I'm a beloved daughter of God. What does that mean for my home? It means I am a creative person and I can find order in each space. And there are so many wonderful resources to help us in that. One I mentioned in a note yesterday, but didn't address was the Nester. She has a House Rules podcast, and she really addresses how to specifically break down what is a room being used for, and how can I have um, one of her kind of taglines is basically getting the most out of your stuff, not adding a bunch more, but just identifying what does my room need and how can I make it cozy without it adding a lot of clutter? And I think that's what a lot of us desire is a simple but cozy space that isn't hard to clean up, that really serves our family and our purpose, and kind of narrowing down on what do I want from this space will help us eliminate perfectionism because it gives us that standard that we desire to chase after, and also really locking in on my self-image first is that I'm a beautiful daughter of God. And how can I establish order and beauty in my home in a beautiful but not perfect way? She has just some really practical tips and tricks on how to do that. But it really does start with the self-image and knowing I am worthy of order and beauty even in my home.
Are you sure God's a God of order? Why can't I
Mm,
just let it be messy?
Because I think that, at least for me, when things are messy, I feel, I don't feel like I'm at my best. I'm not as present. Um, I know for my children, for my child, he's not at his best when things are disordered and his toys are all over and he can't find things and he can't find his toys and he can't find his socks and so and even in my office, like I know that I have to tidy up at the end of the day to start my next day at the best I can to be the most efficient and the most effective leader that I can be, to have my office in order. And so there's a rhythm, I think, to life that that order and discipline brings for us. And I think that's one thing, I think January talks about, or a lot of people do, like, fix your bed, right? The first thing we should do is like fix our bed in the
Mm.
morning, right? That first habit of doing something that we get up and we do, and it creates that first thing of order in our lives. And so I think that, I know for me, having the order and everything having a place too, so that the scissors has a place, the cutting board has a place, the vacuum cleaner has a place, the building blocks have a place. When everything has a place, um, one, then everyone in your home or your office know where things belong, and so orderliness can easily happen, and you can say, pick the things up and put them back where they belong, because everything has a place, whether it's labeled or whether it's um but but I think that it is it gives our souls, I think, for me, it gives my soul a place of rest and also freedom. I think that comes with that and makes me more available to do God's work, because I'm not belabored with the clutter and the distraction of um the disorder in my home or my office. And I know that's for me. I don't know, what, Carla, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I think that is what you're saying is so true, Amy. And I love what Ryan mentioned in the notes. She just said a tree is known by its fruit. When I'm ordered in my environment, I bear more fruit, bottom line. And I feel the same. I'm able to be more present to the children I'm homeschooling. I'm able to be more present to the conversation I'm having with my spouse or a friend that stopped by. And it allows us to be who we are truly meant to be. We're not worried or consumed by the to-do list around us,
Mm.
all our stuff kind of bossing us and telling us, I need to be put away. It's a mess. And we're able to really be truly present. One thing that I find just super practical and helpful is just having a plan for my main space to stay ordered. Sometimes, if a friend is coming over quick, we need to, put a few things in our room or put a few things just aside for a little bit. But if we have a plan to just make our main space orderly and just kind of do that frequently throughout the day. I was mentioning yesterday, each of my older children have an area. So my almost 8-year-old, 7.5, does the table in the entryway. So when we know someone's coming over fast, it's like, okay, table and entry. And he just jets off and does it. Weston does the floor, so he can do a quick sweep. What Jared does the countertops and the dishes. So we can really tackle a clean pretty quickly. And my little Danica, who just turned 6, does the living room. So in a matter of about 10 or 15 minutes, we can have our main space pretty well clean and ordered if someone makes a quick stopover. That doesn't mean the whole house is just in the order that I would love, but it really keeps the main area clean and ordered for when we're doing homeschool. It really serves us in our season really well. And I think most women have an area or two in their home that is just really lived in. And for Amy, it might be her office. For Reagan, it might be where she's serving her clients, just knowing, okay, when I enter that space, it is going to be neat and ordered, and I'm going to be the best that I can be because I'm not going to be distracted by the things. And I have a plan for the other spaces in my home that maybe are less on display. And maybe I tackle that on the weekend or in an evening with the help of my little people and my husband. I think just really knowing if I have a large space that's ordered and I have a plan for it, the rest of my day will go better because I'm not distracted.
You both said something really profound, and it was it's the same theme, and it wasn't really a part of today, so I want to make sure I draw it out here. You said that for you individually, a orderly, organized environment helps you be more present to other people. Amy said it helps you do God's work because you're not belabored. Carly, you're like, it helps me be more attentive to the people who do stop by. And I think that's actually part of the word environment more than just our home is the people around us, the famous line that says, be the change you want to see in the world. I think this is it. This is where you're like, my internal life, my interior life is either going to be affected by the people and the space around me, or I'm going to impact it. And I can't impact it as much if I didn't have a basic ordered home because it supports that for you. So
Mm.
anytime that I feel kind of like, what's the point anyway? Or this doesn't matter anyway. I think that's the lie, right? That's the whisper of the culture is like, why are y'all working so hard to keep a clean house? And it's like, I'm not working so hard at it, but I could learn a few skills. And if I could get my mindset right around it, it would actually help me be a better person to the world around me. Thank y'all for hitting that. There was another thing you mentioned, Carla, about your beautiful Instagram photos that you have to inspire your home. And I'm glad to hear you use Instagram in that way. That's how we should be using it. But I think a lot of us, and if you get on Instagram for 5 minutes a day, you'll see some woman commenting like, thank you for showing us your imperfect home. And it does feel so relieving, right? When we see that people's bodies aren't perfect and their faces aren't perfect and their homes aren't perfect and their kitchens aren't these perfect designs. But then we can go too far the other way. And we can really start comparing and using it like, well, if I can't be perfect, then I'm not going to do anything at all. Do you guys want to share anything about comparison or the struggle with that? Or have you experienced that yourself with social media? Because we live in a time where this is actually a big part of our mental health around housekeeping.
It's helpful to just examine kind of when you identify that you're comparing your own space to other spaces, to ask the question, why? Is it that you're not content with a room in your home? So all of a sudden, anyone's living room that looks incredible, you automatically compare it to. And sometimes it just helps to identify, why does it bother me that she has such a beautiful living room? Maybe it's that mine is not tidy. I need more storage and there's toys everywhere. And it might be as simple as making a plan for adding a couple little shelves into your space or finding a really awesome window bench where you can put those dino blocks or puzzle pieces or whatever it is that tends to clutter your living room. It's like, what is the solution for me loving my living room a little bit more? Because a lot of times when we're comparing and competing, there is an underlying reason, and it might be a need. It might be, I actually do need more closed off storage to feel like this room is serving me and my family well. So that might be a simple solution of addressing it, but often it is a little deeper. Is this room defining who I actually am? I'm a beautiful daughter of God, and I am that whether my living room is perfect or not. So I think it really does start with self-image. And then from there, sometimes we just need to address that and spend a little extra time with our Lord and ask Him to really feed into us the truth of who we are and who we're meant to be. And sometimes just asking Him, please give me the resources to identify what I need. Again, the House Rules podcast by the Nester will give you a lot of practical help in this area. But first, we really need to address who we are and identify the woman that we are and make sure she's being fed first. Does that make sense?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. I think for me, it's very easy for me to fall into comparison, in the area of environment and also fashion, because I don't feel like those are 2 areas that I are my strengths. I am so, like, if I see a picture of a living room, like, "Oh my gosh, I was to buy all that, like, I want my living room to look like that." So and I know that other people have the great gift of, they can buy something at that store and buy something at that store, and they know exactly what paint to put on the wall, so I know that I, have to hire to that or find friends who have that gift because I don't have that gift, but, and so I can really fall into the comparison trap easily, as well as sometimes it's about resources, right? We don't always have the resources to maybe make our home um, what we maybe see in a magazine or see in the store, right? And so recently, recently I threw away our living room couch. It's been needing to go for at least a year and a half, 2 years, and my husband had surgery, and so we had to move a single bed into the living room, and so I said that the couch is going, so I hauled it off to Goodwill. And my husband's like, "So what are we gonna sit on when I get done with the single bed?" I'm like, "Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Like, but it was time to, like, I gotta get rid of the old couch so I can get a new couch, and so it was that first step of getting rid of the old so that I can now envision what I want new in there, and, but and I do think that when we were talking about perfectionism earlier, I think sometimes that perfectionism is part of the comparison too, right? I want it to be perfect because I'm comparing it to others, or maybe that's a wound. My perfectionism is a wound that I need to work through, right? And whether that's a childhood wound or a wound of my worth. And so but then once I embraced that, I just need help in this area of my environment, whether in finding an interior designer helps me to overcome some of that comparison and just go, you know what, this isn't really my gift. I have tons of other gifts. I know what I want my home to look and feel like once the decluttering stuff is gone. Like I'm great at organizing, but I'm not great at now I want it to look and feel in a certain way, what color palettes and things like that. So getting help with that and just embracing and being humble enough to say, I just need help with that, is a way that is helped me to say it's okay to hire someone or to ask for help in bringing in someone who has that expertise and that gift. And I think many of us probably have someone in our circle of friends that can do that for us. And we're delighted to come in and help. Like Carla, if she lived close to me, I'd bring her in to help me.
I would love that, Amy. You
Yeah.
sound like you have such a great skill for organization. That is not one that a lot of people have, and that's a great skill.
And where do you guys find the motivation to keep your environment orderly?
For me, Adi, it's my why. Why do I want a tidy home? It's so that I can serve my children better in homeschool, and I am so distracted if our home isn't orderly. So that's part of it. Um, Also, it it does stem back to my self-image. I'm an interior designer, and so even though I don't love cleaning, I don't mind tidying, it's part of who I am, and it's part of the design I have for our family, and even just for me individually. I am a woman who keeps a tidy home. So it really goes back to the standard that I have for myself, and I think having that why really clear helps us to to get motivated because it isn't glamorous. Spending those 10 minutes a day or, sometimes it's a little more or a little less. It's just not glamorous, but knowing that it is helping me become who I'm meant to be in being a woman of order and modeling that for those around me. That that why has really helped me.
Mm. I would say it's part of my why as well, but it's also part of, I think, being a mom. I want my child to see an orderly home, not a perfect home, but an orderly home, and also a home in which he partakes. Everybody has, we're all part of a family, and so everyone has chores and everyone helps to keep the home orderly. Um, and I know my temperament is and has always been kind of, my siblings would joke, but she's kind of steady as she goes. I'm kind of a gal that kind of just do a little each day, like even like homework or school. I would never leave like a big paper to write till the very end. I would work a little, a little at it. So I think that's just kind of my style in general. I would, um, if we have a trip coming up, I kind of prepare a week in advance, a little at a time. I get ready to pack instead of packing all at the end, just the date, couple hours before. So I think that's how I do kind of do my cleaning at home too. And it just, for me, it's also helps my husband with some of the anxiety and that he deals with. To have an orderly home is important for him as well, so he can find things, and it helps with it to lower his anxiety. So those are, I think, some of my bigger whys of keeping an orderly home, is why that's important.
I want to share too that the resistance to cleaning for me came from dysregulated nervous system, because cleaning meant someone was standing over watching me, and someone was pushing me and like, hustle, 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 let's go. And so there's this feeling in a lot of us of shame and anxiety when we start cleaning. If you've ever rage cleaned and run around and cleaned like a crazy person, and I even find myself now, now that the kids go to school, I have this time in the morning where I can tidy in a very peaceful way. And I will sometimes feel my internal temperature getting all revved up for no reason except my childhood. So I would also pause there and look for maybe some opportunity for growth in your nervous system regulation, and how we can kind of look and internally and go, why am I all revved up right now? Why do I resist cleaning? Is it the way I feel when I'm cleaning? And what are my steps to feel how I want? How would you want to feel when you clean? Right? For me, I want to feel peaceful and like it's almost like Cinderella. I want to feel like Cinderella when I'm cleaning. I want the birds to help me, you know? Is that silly? Probably.
Oh,
Ryan
but I think
asked, oh, go
music
ahead.
is a great idea. And
Music?
oh, I was going to say, I think music's a great idea. When Ryan was mentioned, how do you motivate the people in your home without sounding like nagging? If
Mm.
there's a song you know they love, maybe turn that on. My kids get in a way better mood when I turn on music, especially that's specific to them that they really love. And even I know so many times we set timers, and I think that can be so helpful. I think Amy mentioned that yesterday, just giving ourselves an endpoint because we don't want it to drag on. None of us like tasks that drag on. And so, we're going to listen to fun music. We're going to set the timer and we're going to just be done when the timer goes off and truly be done. When the timer goes off, maybe wrap up that one little thing for little Johnny who couldn't quite finish, or, for your husband who just couldn't quite get to it. But I think those are really practical ways of helping. And I think for our children too, helping them it be really defined what we expect. Like the entry being cleaned means the pillows on the bench are in order. There's nothing on the surface of the bench. All the shoes are put in the basket. There's nothing on the floor that shouldn't be there other than the rug, right? Just being very clear and helping whoever's had that task know clearly when it's like this, then you're done. So they really know what is expected, because so many times we're like, we'll just clean the entry. Like clearly there shouldn't be Legos in the entry, but it's not clear sometimes. Sometimes you have to point out this isn't clean, but when you get it like this is exactly how I want it, and it'll be considered done every time. So being really clear about their task and how to do it, like just especially with little children, walking them through what it means to have a clean surface or to have a clean and treat really helps so that you're not nagging because they know the expectation. And if they haven't done it, then you can say, no, you know the standard. Just get it complete, I think that helps.
Mhm.
I wanted just to add one thing to that too. For myself, I learned this for myself, and then I realized it for my spouse, how to get your husband to clean without nagging him, right? And then for the kids, since we were homeschooling, and for me, what I realized was that it really needed to be a rhythm. So they knew when this is over, cleaning is starting, and then it ends, and we do this. And they knew so that it didn't feel like a surprise. It didn't feel like an added thing. Like my husband does not want to feel like I worked all day and now you're adding things to my plate. But if we have this expectation that every day these are your 3 tasks that you do at this time, these are my 3 tasks that I do at this time, and these are the kids' 3 tasks that they do at this time, then it doesn't feel like an addition. It feels like an expectation. Of course, I knew I was going to do that. It's not one more thing. That's a part of the routine. So that's just something that I learned is kind of bookending it, the cleaning part where something tells your body it's time to clean and something tells your body cleaning time is over.
And I make a note too. I put a note or make a little list, like these are your little tasks, like for Eddie, these are your Saturday little chores, and he loves, I got all my chores done, Mom, or I just have 2 left on my list, and so he likes the visual of seeing what his little cleaning chores are. So that's another idea.
Hi, ladies. Thank you. This is all so good. Do you have any like scripts or ways to help the children understand and myself understand that it has to be done again and again and again? Like I find myself like I'll organize our junk drawer and it'll look so nice and I'll buy the little containers. And then when you know it, within a week, I got to do it again. And sometimes I can just feel so defeated by that. And so it's like I have the motivation to do it one time, but it's just like the organization again and again. And I see that, and I can push through it, I guess, because I'm an adult. Like I just know it has to be done. But I see that with my kids, they almost get defeated because they're like, I mean, we have 2 little kids too, so they'll be like, "We just swept, and Miriam just got a cupcake everywhere, muffin, and Mom, I just swept." And they're like so defeated by it. And I don't know if you have a good script or a way to motivate to say, like, I
Mm.
know we have to do it again and again and again.
To me, that sounds like you know how I am. I never like to give her a script until I hear the lie. So I would just want to dig into exactly the little whisper that's in your head that's making you feel so defeated. Is it like we shouldn't have to clean this again?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's like it's like I'm setting this expectation that if I do it once, that's like done. Like even today, I was like reorganizing our refrigerator and I was thinking like I literally do this every 4 days. Like why? Why do I have to do this again? Like I don't know. So I guess the lie is that like I shouldn't have to do it again. Like it should be done, one and done. But the reality is we have 7 people that live in our house and there's like nothing that's just one and done. It's like one time and then 2 hours later. And maybe that's just more I don't even feel like no, I don't feel like I need to set more boundaries because I could say that, well, maybe I just need to have more boundaries with the kids, but it really isn't their fault a lot of times. Like our refrigerator, it's a mess because we have a small refrigerator for 7 people and we're trying to shove all the groceries once a week. And then finally, what's today, Thursday? It's a little less full because we've eaten food since Saturday. So now I can finally kind of organize it. So I don't know. It's just, yeah, I guess the defeatedness comes from me too, but then I see it in their faces and I don't know how to like tell them this is like a lifelong thing that we're gonna have to keep cleaning. I don't know.
Yeah. Karla, Amy, y'all interrupt me anytime. That's if the lie in your head is I shouldn't have to be doing this. And it makes it directly making you feel defeated. And then when you feel defeated, you are discouraged from doing it with joy and feeling well, I mean, you can tell me what kind of actions and outcome it almost creates a cycle of dread and drudging. I know I've had this in my own house. So I think the script would need to speak directly like truth into that lie. I think it would need to be like almost kind of like when you bring sin into the light, and God shines truth, and he can show you all the dirtiness on that in the darkness and show you all the areas. So if we bring like, I shouldn't have to do this into the light, I just wonder what comes to your mind when you let God kind of just breathe on that.
I think one of a script that's coming to mind that I use a lot is I'm the lead contributor. Like in my home, I want to be that kind of saint that is like that hidden saint, like almost like what I think Mother Mary was, right? Like Jesus, like was this like big, big person, right? And like she was the one sweeping the house. And so like I'm the lead contributor, even if no one sees, but my father sees. And so like God sees my small acts is what's coming to mind too. And that feels more of a place of like, yes, I want to do it instead of like that cycle of like what you said, that feels really familiar. That cycle of like, I have to clean this again. But instead, I'm the lead contributor, and that motivates me to just be the lead contributor in my house. But my kids don't want to do that. Like they don't want to be the lead contributor. And so how do I don't know. How do you, yeah, I guess like any tips for like helping the kids too to not feel that defeatedness when they just cleaned up their room and the toddler knocks over the Legos and makes a huge mess?
We're talking about environment, and this is just so perfect, Ryan, because your internal environment, when you do the work of really making peace, you're not there yet, right? Like we just talked about it, and you're like, okay, I still feel the. But I believe, and I see this in my own life and in the life of my clients, that when you make the shift in here, where you no longer feel but you shift your interior life to say, this is this rhythmic part of my life where I have to keep recleaning things. Is this for you? Not everybody will see it this way, but for you, you're like, these are like the little individual flowers, like little, I don't know if y'all have ever done the little Saint Therese bracelet, where every time you do the little secret hidden thing, you move a flower over on your bracelet. So for you, I can see you're starting to like cultivate. I'm going to slowly rewire my brain to cultivate this feeling of like secret interior joy when there's something that is repetitive cleaning, like the drawer, the refrigerator, and you can just think like start rewiring like the refrigerator is a secret way for me to bring joy to my father, to lay a rose at his feet, you know? And I believe that when your interior life changes, you are going to impact theirs more than words, but just your who you are and your energy is going to impact. The words are going to come out too. But Jessica's here today. Jessica experienced that when she shifted how she saw herself, then she saw that her family members were treating her differently. And it's like, wait, did they know that I was changing and they didn't know, but they were shifting the way they responded to her, the way they treated her, just by her doing that interior work.
So good and so true. Just connecting the interior to the exterior. And I think that is so insightful, Reagan, just that our example always speaks more to our children than our words, even though we want our words to be so, so effective. And they often are. The example, Ryan, that you're leading the way, I think does speak into our children more than we always can see. One script that came to my mind, maybe more a little bit for you, Ryan, than for your children, but possibly for the older ones, is I receive joy from serving, or I receive joy from order. And your children may not be at that point. Maybe Abigail, maybe your oldest, or maybe even Judah. I like the thought, Reagan, of moving the flower, because I think sometimes, especially I have a lot of boys. I have 5 boys. And so sometimes doing something secret like is sort of exciting. So like just helping them know God sees every good thing you do. And so this is a way you can show God how much you love him by quickly cleaning this tiny little area that no one's going to notice except you and God. It's a way of like, it's kind of like your secret between you and him of how much you love him and how much you're willing to serve your family. And maybe just finding a quiet time of like helping them embrace that because it would take a special moment to kind of help them embrace that. But I think certain children really finding a way to kind of engage their their childishness in a beautiful way.
Mhm.
Maybe worth a try.
Yeah. I think I would add a technique that I'm working with my son is uh, we're calling it hot thoughts and cool thoughts. So he might get angry if, he just cleaned something up and then a plant fell on the floor, or it applies also to if someone sat in his spot, right? And he's getting upset about it or is feeling unfair about it. And so we're working on, well, what is a cool thought that you can have about it, meaning instead of getting hot about it or angry about it. And so maybe when the Legos got all dumped over again by one of the little kids, right? It could be, that's okay. They need to play with them right now, and I'll come back and pick them up later. Right. So that he can they can kind of brush off that, okay, I did pick them up, but it's okay. They want to play with them now. So that they can and it's amazing how just that thought in their mind of um reframing what's happening, right? Oh, it's okay. The little kids want to play right now. I'll come back and help pick them up, when they're done playing again, right? But it gives them control of their thoughts, rather than going down the whole of, oh, I just picked them up and they're messing up the living room again, and I'm angry and they stomp off to their room, or they, and I have to pick them up again later. But teaching them already at a young age to, oh, it's okay, right? Or it's okay. I can scoot over a little bit, even though someone's sitting in my spot where that's really my spot, but it's okay. I can move over here and sit. I can still see, or I can still hear, or I can, and it's really been amazing to see how he's really been embracing this. And I've been also amazed at how what he's been thinking about when he's moving into this cool thought, we're calling it, instead of a script that's felt a little too heavy for him, like he wasn't quite grasping that. And so I don't know if that's helpful at all.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm getting my poster board out after this. I'm going to make a hot thought and a cool thought because that is exactly what my family needs right now. Like the scripting, it's like, yeah, it's like that bridge. Like my kids, I'm trying to get them to script, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that is such a great idea. Like and then I can help them,
Mhm.
kind of like Reagan, you said, we have to know the lie, and so to like know it. Oh,
Mhm.
so good, ladies. I also want to add too, real quick at the end, but this memory has come up in this conversation. When I was like a very new mom, I had one kid. I went to another mom's house for a play date, and she invited me in, and the house was just a complete mess, and she had laundry everywhere, and she said, "Isn't it great that my house is so messy because it'll help you feel like you don't have to have it all together?" But, like, it didn't. It just made me feel, like, so uncomfortable because I didn't know where to sit, and I just felt, like, not settled, and so, I don't know, I just wanted to throw that out there because it's, like, this lie that the culture says of, like, "It's okay to be messy," and it's funny because I was listening to Matt Fradd, on Pints with Aquinas, and he had Carrie Gress on. She wrote Theology of the Home. They're excellent books. They're beautiful. And he said, "Carrie, I don't know if people want your book because it's just a bunch of like beautiful pictures that women can't attain. Like they can't live up to of their home." Essentially. And she pushed back and she said, "But they can. They can, Matt." And she's like, "The world has convinced them they can't. But I believe women are capable of working, of loving their family, of doing the dishes, and of having beauty in their home." And I was just like blown away by that. Like the world would say, throw out the baby with the bathwater and like, let's just let it all be messy. It's too much, kind of like you were saying, Reagan. Like, God wouldn't call us to do this. This is too much. But she's like, "You're capable. You are capable." And so just maybe to like, yeah, encourage all of us. Like we're capable of beautiful homes that bring us order and peace. And we actually deserve that. And our kids and our family and our spouses deserve that too.
Thank you, Ryan. Oh, that's so beautiful. I have my head is exploding. I want to say so many things, but I know Amanda, do you want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry if I'm making so much noise.
Oh no, that's okay. I saw you unmuted and I thought I would ask.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I was, as y'all were talking about how, moving the little flower or the, and things like that, or the secret between you and God. And I just loved that because whenever I was a high school teacher, I had so many kids who, for some reason, they could not do their regular work. But if I called it extra credit, they would turn it in, and that was in their head because I would just call it extra credit when I realized, okay, well, you'll have to do this for extra credit in order to bring that up. And it was their work, but they didn't know, because they didn't do their work. And so, just kind of, just kind of, uh, I I guess, just that mind shift that's so, so important. Um, and so I don't know if I've shared this with y'all's group or not, but I was doing a Bible study, and it's probably about the same time last year because we were reading in the gospel, which we did a couple of days ago, uh, whenever he was telling Jesus, Lord, if you want to, you can make me clean. And so as I was reading that and just kind of absorbing it, and then I look up, and this is like at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was just like, Lord, if you want to, you can make me clean. And I'm looking in my kitchen, and I just got up and started cleaning. And I know it wasn't the same thing that he meant, but God knew that that's what my heart was needing at that time. And so I love that idea that it's a secret between you and God, and so then it's kind of like an extra credit. Yes, yes, it feels like it's a never ending kind of thing, but that's kind of how life is sometimes because, God does that with us also. I have to go clean up your mess again, kind of thing.
I love it. That's so beautiful. That reminds me of if you have faith to move, to say to this mountain, move, then it will get up and move. And I'm like, if you have faith to say to this mountain of dishes, move, maybe I can get it done. Amanda, I always love your analogies and your stories. They, especially with kids, the extra credit thing really makes sense to my mind. Mhm. Deborah, did you want to say something?
Well, I have something it's kind of different than what you're talking about. Actually, I felt blessed by this talk today because I do have a clean house and I do keep it clean, and this is one area that I guess I'm blessed. But a couple of weeks ago, you had a session where she went over the wheel, and then she told us about different areas. She had like five questions in each area to help us figure out the ones that we were needed the most. Well, there was none of them that I didn't have one that I answered negative, and I averaged 3 in all the areas. And I thought, what a failure I am. But I said, okay, well, let me just write down every single one of the questions that I answered negative to, and I'll just start working on them and start making them a routine. And so I figured out how to make myself not feel so defeated by that. But today I feel blessed because there is one area that I have accomplished, and it's like, wow, I have a clean house and I have a beautiful home. And at any time somebody can come and visit me, and I have a pretty home. And anyway, so
You
even
do.
though
I've
y'all
seen it.
talked about all of this, yeah, even though y'all talked about all of this, it made me feel blessed. So I guess what I'm saying is, whenever you feel bad about the house, think about that God has blessed you in other ways. You have other things that are blessings that make you strong. And so this is one area that you need to work on, just like I have all those other areas that I need to work on.
That's right. We are women of discipline. That means we are women in training, and we're just open to where God's asking us to grow right now. And for you, he's not asking you to grow in your environment. I love that, Debbie. Thank you for bringing that full circle, because that really takes it back to the wholeness conversation. It takes it back to who are we as whole women. Amy, Karla, this was so beautiful. I know I surprised y'all with some questions today. Thank you so much for just rolling with it. Thank you, God, for guiding this conversation. Thank you guys for being here. Any final thoughts, Karla or Amy?
I just love the growth mindset in this group, and Deborah and Ryan and Amanda, just such beautiful growth mindset in being willing to grow and willing to see areas that can grow and being willing to tackle that. Deborah, especially you, that just really shined through for me, and I think that's so beautiful.
Reagan, just thank you for inviting me to be here. It was just a pleasure to be with the ladies and Karla, and just to hear from each of you and to share and to learn new things too, and for the contribution that each of the women brought to the table today. Thank you so much.
Aren't they beautiful? I love the
Mhm.
second half of this. I love it. So good. Okay, so tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Time, Ryan is taking us through chapter 5 conversation of our book, what happened to you? I keep getting nervous on that. What
Nope,
happened
yeah.
to you?
What happened to you? Mhm.
Yeah, not what's wrong with you.
Right.
I don't ever say that. So I'm always like, I don't know, that one just is a stretch for me. But I'm loving it. I'm crying all the time. Ask my neighbors on my walk. I'm just out there crying. It's so, so good. If you want to join us, let's Ryan, will you throw the link in there? But
Yeah,
in
and
risingtidefellowship.com.
it's on YouTube, y'all. It's free on YouTube. So if you want to just jump on in YouTube, What Happened to You, Chapter 5, you can totally just start listening, and it would be just amazing. And even if you just came for the fellowship and the conversation, that would be amazing too. So it's a really good book. And there's like 12 chapters, so we're only halfway through.
Yes, and y'all are welcome to join us. If you go to risingtidefellowship.com, there's a little click get started up here in this top right hand corner. If you're already a member, it'll sign you in like this. If you're not, it'll ask you to sign up. It's free for 60 days. And here in our book club, click on What Happened to You, and we will be going right there tomorrow at 1 p.m. You can just join by clicking the Zoom link. All right, ladies, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great weekend.